Many often find themselves wondering what could possibly be across that dark and scary veil of inevitability that we know as death. Answers for this question have often been supplied by many different religions, cultures, and scientific breakthroughs from around the world, and though many have their own theories pertaining to this universal question, there is still yet to be found overwhelming proof to support any single hypothesis. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we will be discussing each theory as to what people believe might happen to you after you die, and what it could mean for you and your entire way of life. The moral judgment of the soul. Seen in many different religions, mythologies, and cultures from around the world is the recurring theme that pertains to the afterlife, having a connection with the judgment of a soul. Egyptian mythologies believed that when a pharaoh died, before he could begin on his spiritual journey through the afterlife, he would first be judged by Anubis after travelling through the deserts, where Anubis would pull out his heart and weigh it against that of a feather. If his heart weighed more than a feather, which was caused by it being weighed down by sins and evil, then he would be punished for an eternity, but if the feather weighed more than his heart, he would begin on his journey through the afterlife. It appears that similar themes of judgment persist throughout the majority of religions from around the world when discussing ideas of the afterlife. In Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, concepts of judgment can determine where one will spend the rest of eternity depending on whether or not they were a good or bad person. A good individual in these religions will be rewarded with everlasting life in an idealized and personalized heaven that focuses on fulfilling all hopes and desires from the individual, whereas those of whom lived immoral lives will be sent to suffer for all eternity in a nightmarish reality referred to as hell. Greek and Roman mythologies shared similar concepts in the judgment of the soul, and where one would go after death depending on their actions. The bad individuals would have a personalized hell that befitted their greatest sins, and the good people would live in paradise in the underworld beside those who were sentenced to eternal torture to add onto the torture and jealousy of those unable to have entered paradise. Other religions believe that if you were a terrible person in this life, then in your next life you will be punished for it by suffering much more or being put through trials, but that if you lived a good life, then in your next life via reincarnation you will be fortunate and lucky and suffer much less. Although there does not appear to be a universal system on what is considered good or bad, or what the exact nature of the judgment entails, it appears that the general consensus among all cultures, regardless of where they derive from, is that the first step before beginning your spiritual journey into the afterlife is that of the moral judgment of your soul and your actions taken throughout your life. Traveling throughout space and time. There are many religions and cultures around the world that seem to have a fascination with the stars and what it means for the journey throughout the afterlife. The ancient Egyptians believed that their gods had come to them after descending from the stars, and that when the pharaoh began his spiritual journey after being judged by Anubis, he would begin on his journey to the constellation Osiris to visit the home of the gods. Interestingly enough, we see concepts of journeying through the stars throughout many isolated religions from around the world, including isolated tribes and references to the stars seen in ancient Polynesian cultures. In fact, many people of whom claimed to have a near-death experience talk about leaving their bodies via an out-of-body experience and travelling through the universe unrestricted by the weight of physicality. Given the fact that pure energy, such as photons, can travel at the speed limit of the universe as they are no longer restricted by the weight of matter, it appears that there might be some merit to the freedom of the soul and its ability to speed across great distances throughout the stars. In Asian communities, such as the old mythologies of Japan, it was believed that the soul would begin its journey through the stars after an individual passed away. This was based off of the belief of astral projection, and that individuals in comas or that have been greatly wounded could temporarily leave their bodies and have an out-of-body experience without yet dying. Other cultures around the world include the belief of such astral dimensions and projections and hold similar understandings as to the nature of the soul. In the Hindu religion, references to the Atman leaving the body and allowing an experiencer to see all corners of the universe are mentioned over and over again in old mythologies, though do not directly tie into their beliefs surrounding that of the afterlife and journeying through the stars. The Buddhist connection with the superego. The Buddhist belief circle around the ideals that upon a person's death, their energy will begin on its journey of the death of the ego and the connection with that of the superego. According to the Buddhist faith, we are all the manifestations of our own egos. In this sense, the ego is our unique personalities and all the limited memories, biases, physical wants and needs and developments of a normal human throughout its life. This means that when we pass away, our body and our brain are left behind, and all that is left of ourselves is the pure energy of our soul that will connect with the superego. This means that at the moment of death, everything that makes you who you are will cease to be, and you will feel no emotions, hold no memories, and have no personality of any kind. This purer energy you then become will be able to then join what is referred to as the superego of the universe. The superego is often described as a sort of collective of energy that is all of the universe, and that when you merge with this collective, you join what can only be described as a hive mind that shares all the experiences and realities of the universe experienced by everyone and everything. After this occurs and the identity of yourself has been completely obliterated, you will then enter a new phase, after known as the rebirth, in which you can reincarnate into a new form within the universe. The endless journey of reincarnation. Although many religions believe in a more permanent afterlife in which when you die you will reside in one place for the remainder of eternity, be it the underworld, heaven, hell, or purgatory, beliefs in the Buddhist interpretation as well as the Hindu interpretation believe that life and death is merely nothing more than an endless journey through reincarnation. Though when one dies they will experience the ego death of leaving behind their body, worries and memories, they will then soon begin on through journey into another state of being. Certain philosophies of reincarnation believe that it is more common to be reincarnated into that of an inanimate object, such as that of a rock or a mountain, or objects that we do not commonly believe hold the concepts of life and experience, and that it is far more rare to reincarnate into that of a living being, such as that of a butterfly or a human being. Other philosophies isolate reincarnation only to that of living beings, and that one must find a balance with nature and the environment as to not hurt the spirits and souls of those around us that could have had at one time been human as well. In fact, the Dalai Lama often remarks about finding peaceful solutions with all animals, regardless of how small, as he once told in an interview that he will try to shoo away a mosquito without killing it because he understands that the only way it can survive is by doing what it can, and to kill it is completely unnecessary on his part. Nothing after death. Probably seen as the easiest to believe theories on the afterlife comes from the philosophies of the atheist community and their lack of belief into not only God but also spirituality. Following similar notions of Friedrich Nietzsche and his beliefs in nihilism, the atheist community commonly believes that the universe is inherently indifferent to our accidental existence and that upon our deaths we will all simply cease to exist. They follow that not only is there no such thing as a moral judgment, but that death will be similar to the experience believed to be had before a person was alive, and that nothingness is what will be experienced. This makes the philosophies of atheism much easier to follow compared to all other religious beliefs in this idea that not only is there no incentive to commit acts of morality due to judgment, but that rewarding concepts of hedonism and pleasure appear to be the overall goal of existence, and that outside of that acceptance there is no true meaning to the universe. Although one might remark that the belief is inherently lazy in its ambitions, it does make a very attractive philosophy in that believers of this idea of nothing after death are rewarded with an eternity of peace. No moral judgments are had, and there is no real cause to do anything or contribute anything to existence. what do you all think of the many different theories about what happens when you die, and which ones do you subscribe to? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.